we've covered Mayor Bloomberg a lot on this show and covered him not favorably with regards to his trickle-down economics, his wanting to turn New York into a luxury brand that's unaffordable for most people that make that luxury brand possible. His, brutal crackdown on Occupy Wall Street, any number of other things. I've also been willing to acknowledge areas where I think he's actually done a lot of good. Those are some environmental questions. Totally agree with him on gun control. I support the smoking ban. But he did something last week, which I just think it's definitely not the biggest thing Bloomberg has done, but this just really encapsulates. And this is another thing. This is a symbolic thing that if I was Bill de Blasio advisor, I would say, do everything you can to cancel this as soon as you get into office. So it's perfect symbology. So we know that in New York, there's great museum culture. And we have the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which, as any of you have had the opportunity to visit it, it really is just an unbelievable collection of everything imaginable, from modern. You can go and get lost in Egyptian, Asian, Buddhist, Islamic art, through impressionists, anything you want. It's an amazing institution. And theoretically, the Metropolitan Museum has actually always had a free entrance, even though they have a very strongly advised donation at the front. In fact, there's a lawsuit because the donation has been set up. The signs have been set up in such a way that it does not look like a donation. It looks like an entrance fee is required. And community groups have responded to that. And look, I'm going to tell you, you're talking about an institution. It's in a very wealthy part of New York City. It has huge wealthy patrons, including Mayor Bloomberg, and it has plenty of people, even like me as an example, who, frankly, I'm happy to ship them $20 when I go there because you know what? I do have $20 for that, and I want to support the culture.
I would also like to
right?
add that there's been numerous occasions where it was mandatory to go there for school.
Well, I'm sure if you're on a school trip, I'm sure that's taken care
No,
of.
not on a school trip.
Oh, I see. Like it's
where you had
mandatory
to go
for
there
students
for
to go. Oh, I see. Absolutely. So that's a whole other thing. And that's really the point, right? We want that there's a part of our city and our institutions, whether they're museums or libraries, that say this is open to everybody. This is open to the kid that wants to check something out and doesn't have $25. That it's open for the family who wants to take their kid to experience something different and distinct and unique. And the Met has always fought to make their entrance fee mandatory, and Mayor Bloomberg has quietly signed off on that. He waded into a legal dispute over the Metropolitan Museum of Art's admissions practices by granting it the right to impose a mandatory $25 or more entrance fee. And then this is from the a piece in the New York Daily News. The museum has come under fire for posting signs that critics say are designed to confuse people into thinking the fee is mandatory. I could tell you, I went there a couple of months ago. There's no question that that's how the signs are written. Bloomberg's decision was disclosed when the museum was notified by a Manhattan judge that it had signed a new lease at, quote, the city's request. And then lawyer Michael Hiller, who was lawyer for the plaintiffs in the lawsuit that I had mentioned, claiming that it had, against the Met, claiming that it had duped museum goers, blasted the new lease. Quote, the museum efforts to arrange a lease amendment in the dead of night without notice to the public and without regard to the democratic process is nothing but a desperate stunt by the museum to defeat its lawyers, to defeat claims its lawyers must know are valid. See what Mayor de Blasio does if he can get up in the morning and assume his responsibilities as mayor. But I just think that article distills every single problem of Bloomberg's tenure and really in modern politics. I mean, this using the public institution of mayor to, in a non-accountable, dead-of-night way, hand the power to another ostensibly public institution to guard access to what needs to be a public good and create barriers. And it's the same mindset. You know the mindset is well, come on, who can't afford $25? Well, actually a lot of people can't. A lot of people, when you think of that, almost half of the city can't even afford the basics of living here, even as they have full-time jobs. That's who can't afford it. And if they got the time together and to bring themselves or their families to this museum, whatever kind of commute that entailed, which would probably be significant because, as I say, Met is located in a very wealthy part of New York City. And they come and they just want that public participation, that public opportunity. And what do they get now? It's another barrier. And it's a real symbolic story of everything that's wrong. It's disgusting and it should be overturned. Yes,
If you
please.
can't afford the $25 fee, you poor people have your Banksy. He provides you with street art for free, which, by the way, is illegal when looking to arrest him as soon as possible.
I know. He can provide street art, which we're going to deal with. Let me read.
You heard about that when he was here for his residency?
Yes.
Every time he would put his art on a privately owned building.
Mm-hmm.
The owners of said buildings came out and said the NYPD called them right away and said, "We heard there's this graffiti on your building. We'd like to press charges." How many times do you think the NYPD calls people who have their buildings graffitied, asking them right away, "Would you like us to take care of that? Could we press charges for you?"
Well, I mean, I'm sure. I'm actually, depending on what area of the city it is, they're actually probably very.
I'm
responsive
talking
to
about
that.
like Queens warehouses.
Oh,
and
no, I'm
police.
sure that there isn't that much of a response for Queens warehouses. If you want to join us, the number is 646-257-3920. If a libertarian would like to explain why this is a great move to charge entrance fees to the Met or some other such nonsense, feel free to join us. I'll take on a libertarian too.
Art isn't free, Michael.
Yeah,
Art isn't free. Think about all those poor dead artists who aren't making the money that they didn't make when they were living.
That's a good point.